Good morning, friends. This is the English version just spoken about a commentary I wrote to German news today about the claim that rudimentary brain structures are happening after birth. So, we all know that this claim has been refuted. And what's interesting about this claim is the historical background. All mothers, all indigenous cultures of the earth know that pregnancy is not a disease and a lot can happen during pregnancy, which will have impacts on people's later lives. But not so in the supposedly so modern scientific culture, at least in some parts of it. So here's a historical background, which I wrote about in German on Facebook. About 100 years ago, a little more, there was something called the Vienna Psychoanalytical Association. And the main figure was obviously Sigmund Freud, a genius in every way. It was a revolution to understand that there are subconscious influences impacting our everyday lives. Unfortunately, around 1920, things shifted because Sigmund Freud started, quote unquote, excommunicating all the members of this association who had theories and proof for their theories, which he started considering fringe and which he wanted to marginalize, namely Carl Jung and his theory of the archetypes, Wilhelm Reich and his theory about body therapy, and Otto Rank, who wrote about the trauma of the birth, just to name a few. So, what has since decades been refuted? The idea that we come as a blank slate, as Freud claimed. And there's proof of that not being the case, which has been advanced by many, many people, namely our beloved Stanislav Grof, but also German researchers like Gerald Hüther, brain researchers. And they basically made clear that just 2 or 3 weeks after conception, basic brain structures and more complex neural connections are being formed in the human brain. And so obviously, it's beyond the pale that the whole course of pregnancy is going to have fundamental impacts on how we are later in life. The consequence of this blind reception of Freud's dogma and how it developed over the years in medicine and psychotherapy is is quite obvious. Yeah, you can for the real big sufferings that people go through. Of you can continue selling medication. You don't have to bother with these deeper impulses, with these deeper dynamics of the human psyche. And so, in turn, our society lives under the delusion that many of these urges that people have cannot be explained and they just need to be medicated. Now, we all beg to differ. And if we read Stan's early literature on his early research or other people's research, then we understand that, that claim is really ridiculous. And I'm almost shocked that German news would perpetrate something like that. Anyway, just wanted to share this. Thank you for listening.